Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel and happy Victober. Today is October 1st. We officially kick off Victober today and I am so excited. This is the reason I even started this BookTube channel. It's because I love Victorian literature, and when I started watching BookTube, I discovered that there was such a thing as Victober, and I just had to join in. And so the very next year after I had discovered that, I started this channel to talk about my love for Victorian literature. And so I am excited to participate once again in Victober, and I'm going to today just talk about the books that I've pulled to read for Victober. Now, this year is the 10th year anniversary. So for the 10th year, the hosts have really planned out some great things for us, and I think that they have 10 prompts this year, but I'm not even going to look at the prompts because I already knew what I wanted to read. I'm not going to be able to read all the things I normally read because I have a baby. My grandbaby's coming. I have my son is doing some concert tours, and I plan on going to see another one of his concerts later on this month. And he'll be traveling back and forth because he gets 1 week off in October as well. And so I want to, spend time with him and all those things. So I probably will not be able to read as much as I normally read for Victober, but I will read as much as possible for Victober because, again, it's my favorite reading season of the year. Okay, so these are the things that I'm planning on reading. I am going to list the hosts below and all the information about Victober if you have not seen that yet. And you can find out all the details about the prompts if you want to, challenge yourself a little bit more. But these are the books I have pulled out to read this year. Okay, the first one, this is my priority. This is the book that my husband gave me last, I think Christmas. He gave me this book. And from that time on, I put it to the side. I said, okay, that's my book for Victober next year. Because last year I read Uncle Silas by Sheridan Le Fanu. And this was my favorite book of the year. It is one of my favorite books of all time. And y'all, I just loved it. It had every element of fiction that I love. It is gothic. It is dramatic. It's a page turner. It's set in the Victorian period, of course, and it's just my kind of book. The kind of book I love to read. And so after reading this, I knew I wanted to read more by this author. And so my husband found a copy of, it's a beautiful copy by the way, The House by the Churchyard. And so I plan on reading this. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to read this one. And so this is my priority. It is a chunker of a book. Let's see how many pages this particular edition has. Let's see. It has, I think, 496. It has 496 pages, so about 500 pages. It looks chunky, but actually, when you look inside, it's not as intimidating as I thought, because look at those margins. They're pretty wide. So hopefully this won't be too bad. But with Victorian classics, I'm a little slower about those, of course, because it was written at a different time period. But I do love them so much, and I can't wait. Let me know, before I forget to ask you this, if you've read anything by Sheridan Le Fanu. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure. I know he wrote a lot of short stories and things too, and this is the only one, Uncle Silas, that I've read. And I've really not heard a lot about his writing, but I do want to read more. So if you've read something, let me know in the comments. Don't give any spoilers, but let me know in the comments if you've read any, or if you have any recommendations of some short stories I might be able to squeeze in or something. But anyway, this will be my priority, The House by the Churchyard. Now the next one may be stretching it a little bit, because the book that I chose, I really wanted to read this. For several years I've wanted to read this one. This is called The Book of Dragons by E. Nesbit. And E. Nesbit wrote during the Victorian period and after the Victorian period. And this book was technically published after the Victorian period. Let me see, I wrote it down. It was published in 1902. However, this is a collection. It's a collection of 8 fantasy short stories. And those were all published during the Victorian period because they were published in a magazine. I think the magazine was called the Strand magazine, and they were published in 1899. So when I first looked up the book, I saw, different publishing dates. I was like, okay, what's, up with this? Well, when they compiled it into one book, it was after that, 1902. But they were published technically during the Victorian period, and so I'm going with it. This is Victorian because she wrote it, and they were published in a magazine during the Victorian period. But anyway, it's now a book as, a whole collection of short stories in 1902. So I hope that makes sense. I do think it might be stretching it since this was technically published as a book later, but still I'm going with it since they were published in a magazine. The next one I'm really excited about because I have really fallen in love with Anthony Trollope. I've read several Anthony Trollope's. I've loved them. And right now I'm trying to work my way slowly. I'm not going, reading one every month or anything. I'm trying to read the Barsetshire, I think that's the name of the series, by Anthony Trollope. And I have read two, I think. I think I've read two so far. And this is the third one, Dr. Thorne. Now, my husband found this copy, and there's not much to this. It doesn't have a beautiful cover or anything. But I do like the feel of this book. And I have a couple of others in this series, in this edition. And I don't know what it is. It's a good, chunky library book feel. Do you know what I mean when I'm talking about that? There are certain books that just feel good in the hand, and they're just, when you're curled up in your bed reading, they just feel good to read from. That's why I do not like reading on my Kindle and stuff like that, because it just doesn't feel the same. And so when I checked these out and I saw a couple of editions of this series in this edition, I just loved it so much. So he found me this one, and so I said, well, I'll put that on my Victober too. And I'm really excited to get back to this because I'm enjoying it. I have heard a lot of good things about this one in particular, Dr. Thorne. So let me know if you enjoy Anthony Trollope, and let me know if you've read this one. Again, no spoilers. Just let me know if you've read it. And other Anthony Trollopes, maybe a favorite Anthony Trollope book you've read too. And then I also have this book, But No Promises, and I'll explain that in a minute. This, I think, is the group read. It's called Hester by Margaret Oliphant. I'm not sure how you say her name, but this is the group read. And I picked this up because it's the group read. However, I don't know that I'll get to it. And this is why. Well, for one thing, I have a lot of other books to read, and these others are priorities. But I read one of her books, well, I tried to read one of her books several years ago, and y'all, I just did not like it. I did not like that book at all. So I didn't even finish, and I put it to the side, and I think I ended up getting rid of it because I think it was just, she just wasn't for me. So I have never picked up another one because I thought, I don't know that this lady's for me. However, I think she was a pretty prolific writer. And so let me know if there's something that you've read by this author that you think, if you've watched my channel, you know what I like, you think that I would enjoy. I like trying all the Victorian authors, but this one, she just didn't hit it for me. So I am hesitant. I'm hesitant about this. If you've read Hester, let me know. If you're reading the group read Hester, let me know that too. Maybe that will encourage me to read along too. But right now, this is not calling to me. I'm just going to be totally upfront with you about it. This is not calling to me, but I did want to participate in the group read. I usually try to do that. So anyway, I have it on my shelf, and we'll see how things go. I might just pick it up and try a couple of chapters and see how I feel about it. But again, this is not a priority. Now, there are other things I want to read. I do want to read the next set of Sherlock Holmes short stories because I think I have another set of those. However, that is not Victorian. They were written after the Victorian period in the early 1900s. But I do like to read Sherlock Holmes during Victober. I kind of started with Sherlock Holmes during Victober, and so I just continue doing that because I like to read short stories just to kind of fill in gaps where I don't have a lot of time to read, if that makes sense. And so I probably will pull some Sherlock Holmes in there. I will also pull probably some other short stories or things I always read, this is not Victorian, but something else I probably will read. I always read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow during October, during that season. I do this every year. It's just like Christmas Carol. Every December I read the Christmas Carol. I don't know why, but it's just a tradition for me because those are like masterpieces. So I'll probably be reading that as well. So for me, these are plenty of books to keep me busy since I have so many other things going on. I know it doesn't seem like a lot because I have only 4 books on this list. The House of the Church by the Churchyard, The Book of Dragons, Dr. Thorne, and then if I can get to Hester. However, that's a lot of pages. That's a lot of pages. And if I squeeze in some Sherlock Holmes, that will be, you know, a little bit more to squeeze in there too. So let me know if you are participating in Victober. I hope you do. I hope you'll at least try maybe a play or a short story. I'll be talking a lot about some of my favorite Victorian literature throughout the month of October. I'll also share my Middlemarch review. I can't wait to talk about that with you. And so that will be coming. I am almost finished because I couldn't wait for Victober with another Charles Dickens. I started a Charles Dickens in September and I have, I don't know, just a few chapters left. I am right at the end of that. So I will probably do a special review of that book too. So let me know if you are participating. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what, if you do read for Victober, let me know what is your favorite book you've read for Victober so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.